actually have Ogdoadics for you today. We have some more Tistina action, and of course, these Eldlich variants just keep coming. Make sure you guys smash the living crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more awesome content. So we have Snakes back at it again here with a very small tier package in this. It just looks like for additional milling and things, and we are playing the Agito and the Calbec in this. So your entire game plan for this is you basically want to get as many of your little snaky friends down. You want to start the reptile party so you can kind of start doing your thing. And of course, obviously, Snake Rain is one of those cards that, you know, helps this deck get things off the ground. Now, there's a lot of interesting tech choices here. I see that we are playing 2 Shadows Light, which is kind of cool. We are playing 1 Reasoning. I mean, you need to be exploring the option to plow through this. We are only playing 1 Copy Duality. Okay. And then, of course, just 1 Daybreak and 1 Serpent Strike with the 1 Water Lily. While these cards are all incredibly good, you typically 1 of should be enough to get this deck going. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but, you know, it is what it is. And, of course, we're playing the 1 Vanguard of the Underground Emperor. Okay. And then I see that we are playing an Elysia for, you know, it being a reptile. And, of course, Regulus in here as well. Outside of that, the other biggest things are the Chaos Valkyrie is a nice little tech choice. I like this. Down here in the side deck, I see that we are also only playing 1 copy of Keldo as well, which is kind of strong. I like that. And of course, what else do we have? The fact that Merrymaker jumps on in to Captain Sargas and you just combo for days seems relatively good to me. That is pretty much the Ogdoadic reptile experience. Obviously, you can mess around with ratios, but I think this is a good start for the deck. Hi, Tistina. How are you? So, Tistina's been having a lot of interesting local success out here. And I've been kind of watching the Tistina group, wanting to see, you know, what people are kind of coming up with for ideas. You know, it's a matter of time until something is kind of perfected. And it looks like the biggest thing that holds this deck together right now is probably going to be the Book of Eclipse. Let's call it what it is at this point in time. While Book might have kind of rotated out of the format, you still do care for the massive flip down that it gives you to kind of control a lot of your opponent's assets. Honestly, some of the bigger problems that you have in the game right now are, you know, too many things that this deck can't answer. But one cool thing that this deck does have here is the full-powered Xyz. So basically, you deploy this and you start tearing through your opponent with the Darkray Lancers of all things. Honestly, the fact that you can even make Torpedo on into the Fortress and then make the Lancer is actually pretty insane. Now, obviously, once we get the spell, you know, in the near future, this deck is going to evolve at a pretty cool pace. Also, poor Tainted of the Tistina, just being a poor 1 of. And you can tell that this deck is playing a lot of the generic power cards. Like you have the Fenrirs, the Super Polys, the Talents as well. Everything that this deck needs to have going for it, it does need the chance to kind of line things up. But very easily, it can pop a win out of nowhere. And unprepared opponents are going to be the easiest prey for this deck. Good stuff. I'm extremely happy to see Tistina performing. Next up here, we have Horus Eldlich. Oh my, what have we discovered? I am glad to see that they are playing the 3rd name, because it's Blessing of the Horus drawing you a crap ton of cards in my back row deck of all things. And remember, it gets fat. All right, I understand that, yes, we are playing Skill Drain, you know, but that doesn't matter. I also love the fact that this deck is not main decking Judgments. We're playing the 1 Golden Land Forever, which is fine. I see we are playing 2 Strikes in the main deck as well. And of course, we're playing triple copies of There Can Only Be No Fun Allowed for your opponent. Some other little interesting little tech bits here. I mean, the Diabell Star package is kind of turned into a big addition to this deck. Alright, the fact that you can have the Roselia give this deck a board wipe is not something that I really expected to see. But it has been very good for the variants. Have also the unaffected mode, but we don't really care too much about that. Also, the Sevilla interruption is also pretty good. Also, this build getting away on double wanted. Okay, now, the other interesting thing that we have going here is we are playing Gen and Ken, which means we can kind of toggle through, have some level of interruptions on the opponent, and, well, by interruptions, I mean, you know, thrust into the talons, proceed to laugh at your opponent as they can't actually do anything. Actually, incredibly interesting. Also, getting with one Cursed Old Land Forever, the double King Sarcophagus. I love seeing what these builds can do. I think, honestly, this is going to be one of the more interesting decks if these do continue to show up this format. Just because the ideas that this has going for it are kind of cool. Now, this is a, I believe that this was referred to as a warrior pile using Bystials as synchro climbing material. Now, we originally seen in the OCG that Bystial synchro good stuff existed, but this build is kind of doing some interesting things here because we're using the Gen and Ken base to, you know, be able to do talents, but please do note there's not a single thrust in this main deck. I don't know if duels just didn't have immediate access to them or they just really couldn't find room. I could see a world where you could be, I say budget, but they have Sinful Spoils near. There is a way that you could probably be siding the thrust because they didn't share their side deck with me. So that's a major thing here is like, especially if you're using this base to do your thing, it's very important. Also, we are playing the connector with the Aqua Dolphin, which actually means that we have hand-ripping shenanigans. I know a lot of people are like, yeah, ban Aqua Dolphin. I believe people actually want this card banned because ripping cards out of your opponent's hand is too broken. Yeah, makes sense to me. Well, the whole other line play here is obviously you make this and then you start going down into the little synchro play lines. Interestingly, don't actually have like Ronald in here or something like that. The idea that you can bring the Diabell Star package in with a warrior package for control, and then you're suddenly able to use these Bystial monsters, even as one-ofs, to actually kind of toggle up and get the chance to produce interesting results is kind of cool. But I'm just curious to know if anybody else has tried a list like this or tried to refine the concept, because seems like there is something to be had here, especially with these numbers. And our last list we have here is, yes, the Horus stuff has found its way in to Tri-Brigade with Sprite. Now, here's the interesting thing about this. If we're playing the Horus package with this, guess what? We now have an easier fodder way to drop these incredibly terrible monsters out of our hand, and then we can start loading up our graveyard via, you guessed it, more dumping effects. Now, we're not playing Frocnal, which, to be honest with you, is fine. Most of the combos that are typically involved with this just end up going Frigette / Bear Broom, and then you toggle down into this as a defensive play on the opponent's turn. Outside of that, I mean, I do see we are playing the Zombie Vampire. Honestly, if you can net something off of your opponent that is going to be a lot more powerful for you, the more power cards that you typically can end up underneath your possession typically gets you into a much better game state. And of course, I mean, yes, we are playing this Riot package, but this will usually be near the end of the combo line that we'll want to have access to with this. So you can kind of start things off a little bit more with the Horus package and kind of start toggling down the lines from there. But definitely one of the more unique concepts. Actually, a lot of people, I don't think, have considered tossing this package into this deck, or, you know, even batting an eye, really, at the Tri-Brigade cards at the current point in time. So what do you guys think? Please, leave a comment down below, tell me what you guys think, and I'll see your beautiful faces back here later today, guys. Peace. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.